Bonjour and good afternoon. Welcome to WASA Distance Education and PLAR English. And this is the second week of classes in Term 1A. And normally we would have 2 classes per week, Mondays and Wednesdays from 11 to 12. However, this week we are having our classes Monday and Tuesday because I will be away on Wednesday. I'm traveling to Wapakika on Wednesday. So can't do my class then, so doing it today instead. And hopefully next week we will be back to our regular Mondays and Wednesdays classes. So in any case, there are 2 ways to participate in classes. You can participate on radio or on Zoom. So if you participate on radio, you need to call into the studio and you will hear the audio only of the class. If you choose to participate on Zoom, then you can use the link provided in your study guide or go to nnec-on-ca.zoom.us, and all the instructions for joining a Zoom class are in your study guide, so you can check it out there. And if you participate on Zoom, you will get audio and video as well. So check it out and see which way you prefer. All PLAR English students are welcome to attend classes, so it doesn't matter if you signed up for PLAR Radio Zoom or PLAR IL. The classes are for everyone, so you can join the classes or watch the recorded classes, whatever works best for you. To contact me, use email, phone, or send a message on Facebook, and I'll mention it now, but I'll mention it again later on. You can also submit your work using Facebook Messenger. So just keep that in mind. Students who were working on the PLAR last year can keep working on the key questions and continue to submit them to your teacher. PLAR classes from last year, the recorded classes, are available on YouTube and will be updated as we record new classes. So if you go to YouTube, and this information is all on the cover page of your study guide as well as each lesson. If you go to YouTube, same as my Facebook, B. Osmond Wasa, and then you will see my playlists, one for PLAR Math and one for PLAR English. So whichever PLAR subject you're working on, the classes are still available there for you on YouTube. A new change this year, or I should say a change, not a new change. A change this year with the PLAR is that all PLAR students can choose to write the culminating activity before doing the lessons and key questions. So if you feel good about your English skills or your math skills or science or geography or history skills, instead of doing the lessons, completing all the key questions, submitting them, and then doing the test, you can request to do the test first. If you pass the culminating activity, then you don't have to do the lessons and the key questions, and then you can move on to the next subject. If you're not successful with the culminating activity, then you will have to do the lessons and complete the key questions before you can write the culminating activity a second time. Okay, so if you fail the culminating activity the first time, that doesn't mean you're done. You can still write it again. So if you try the culminating activity before you do the lessons, then and you pass, great. If you don't, then you can do the lessons and then do the culminating activity again after. Okay, so you will get more than one opportunity to write the culminating activity if you're not successful. Our Term 1A Radio Zoom timetable looks pretty bleak. But again, these are just the courses that are offered on Radio Zoom. This is not all the courses we have. We do offer other courses through IL, so please check our IL listings in the calendar, talk to your DEC, or contact us here at WASA to find out what other courses are being offered. Just a reminder that in your lessons there are 2 types of questions, support questions and key questions. The support questions are the practice questions that you do before you do the key questions. Okay, so support questions, you'll notice, are scattered throughout the lesson. They're read a section, there's a support question. Read another section, there's another support question. So you do those support questions as you go through the lesson. If you do well with the support questions, then you can move on to doing the key questions. And the key questions are the questions that you submit to me for marking. Okay? The support questions have answers at the end of the lesson, right before the key questions. So after you do a support question, then you can go and check your answers at the end where the answers to the support questions are. Okay, so keep that in mind. Key question, like I said, key questions are the ones that are to be submitted to me for marking. And you should try to get those, you should try to submit those as you complete them. Okay, as you do a support question, at the end of the support question, it will tell you now go do key question 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever at the end of the lesson. So you do that right away. If, like I said, you had no problems with the support question, then once you've finished the key question, send it out to me right away. Okay. Speaking of sending out your work, there are several ways for you to submit your work. First way is to give it to your DEC, who will send it to WASA Sioux Lookout, so send it out here to us. If your DEC is away or your learning center is closed or you don't have a DEC or learning center, don't fret. You can still send your work to us. If you have access to a scanner at work or at the school or at the band office, you can scan and email your own work. Send it to the studentwork@nnec.on.ca email and make sure that you CC to me. If you don't have access to a scanner, but you do have access to a fax machine, then you can fax to our toll-free number. Okay, so that's another way of submitting your work. If you don't have access to a scanner or a fax machine, then use your smartphone. Okay, with your smartphone, you can either take photos of your work, or you can use your smartphone to scan your work and then email it to that same student work email, and of course CC to me. So anytime you're emailing work, doesn't matter how you're scanning it or whatever you're doing with it, make sure that you send it to 2 addresses, the studentwork@nnec.on.ca and also to me. My email address is on the front cover of every lesson as well as your study guide. Or you can send it via Facebook Messenger. Okay, so take pictures or scan it and send it on Facebook. Okay, also, if you are in Sioux Lookout or in the surrounding area and you come to Sioux Lookout, you can use our outdoor mailbox, which is located in the parking lot on the side of the WASA building. Or you can just knock on the front door right off Front Street and submit it that way. You can also use Google Docs to do your work, and then you can send me the link. She'll share it with me. Or you can use Google Classroom. Okay, if you want to use Google Classroom, please contact me. First of all, so that I know you're using Google Classroom, but also to get the make sure you have the correct class code and link for Google Classroom. Okay, so review of what we covered in class yesterday. So we're still talking about the parts of speech, and today we're going to finish up looking at the parts of speech. But so far we have looked at nouns, pronouns, and verbs. So these are the nouns and verbs are the most important parts of speech, because you can't have a sentence without a noun and a verb, and the other parts of speech add to your sentences. So a noun is generally the noun is the subject of your sentence, who or what the sentence is about. So it's the name of a person, place, thing, or idea. So anything, as I mentioned yesterday, that you, or not yesterday, actually last week, that you can see or touch is a noun. That word is a noun. So I can see the window, I can touch the window. The word window is a noun. I can see the floor, I can touch the floor. The word floor is a noun. Okay, so some examples. People's names, Daniel, names of specific places, London, and objects, table, and then feelings as well, hope. Those are all nouns. A pronoun is a word that's used in place of a noun or noun phrase to avoid repetition, so that we're not repeating the same nouns over and over again. So examples of pronouns are I, you, it, we, us, them, and those. They're generally short words, but sometimes they can be longer, like the words everybody and somebody. An example, I want her to dance with me. So I, her, and me are the pronouns, and they're in place of nouns. So instead of saying Bonnie wants Sally to dance with Bonnie, we're saying, hi, I want her to dance with me. Okay, so just replacing nouns with pronouns to avoid repetition. And verbs are action words or state of being words. So they're basically, verbs are words that tell what somebody or something is doing. So some examples: go, speak, eat, live, are, and is. Okay, so anything that you can do, jump, run, climb, talk, think, whisper, those are all things that you can do, so they are all verbs. Okay. Also, the state of being is the verb to be, which includes words like is, am, are, was, were, those words. Those are all state of being verbs. They're all verbs. Okay, so the other parts of speech, adjective, adverb, preposition, conjunction, and interjection, we will be looking at today. But before we do, just a quick review of verbs. So verbs are action words expressing things that happen. The tense of a verb indicates the time of the action or state of being that is expressed by the verb. So verb tenses are important. So depending on when something happened, we will have to change the tense. So there are three what we call simple tenses, and those are the ones that we're going to focus on. So the first one is the present tense. So present, of course, now. Present tense indicates actions or conditions occurring now. Present tense is often used to state general information as well as thoughts and opinions. So, for example, water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. That is present tense. It freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Another example, they are angry about the decision. Okay, that's happening now. Okay, the verb is are, which is the verb to be. Okay, our verb here is freezes. Water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. They are angry about the decision. Okay, so that's the present tense. So it's happening now, or like presenting a fact or a general statement. The past tense indicates actions or conditions that have occurred already and do not extend into the present. So they're over, they're done with. So for example, she felt better after her test. Okay, so she felt better after her test. Now, felt is the past tense of the verb to feel. Okay, the other example for some reason is missing. So again, anything that you can do. She thought about going. It already happened. She thought about it, now she's not thinking about it anymore. Most of the time, or I shouldn't say most of the time, but a lot of the time when we put a verb in past tense, we add the ending ed. So for example, the verb to walk, in the past tense, that would be walked. Okay, adding ed. The verb to share, in the past tense, that would be shared, adding ed. Okay, but that doesn't happen with every verb. So for example, the verb to feel, it changes to felt. Okay, the verb to think changes to thought. So you have to be careful. If you're not sure, use a dictionary. And then we have the future tense. So future, obviously, something indicates actions that have yet to begin. So they have not happened yet. To form the future tense, you will use the word will or shall. Will is more common. Shall is generally used when you're ordering, like you shall go. Okay, you're basically ordering someone to go or telling someone to go. It's a bit more forceful than using will. Both are acceptable, but will is more common. So to form the future tense, you will use will plus the base or the present participle, I should say, part of the verb. So I will graduate the year after next. So I haven't done it yet. I'm going to do it. So I will and then graduate. So this is your verb. We have what's called a helping verb, the word will, and the main verb graduate. Second example, the exhibition will come to Thunder Bay in September. So will indicates future. The verb is come. So will is our helping verb, come is our main verb. So two words that make up the verb in that sentence because it's the future tense. So again, remember that you use will for future. All right, so now let's continue on. So now we have looked at nouns and pronouns, we've looked at verbs, and so today, like I said, we're going to finish up all of the other parts of speech because, as I mentioned, nouns and verbs are the most important parts of speech. So in your lesson, beginning on page 16, is information on adjectives. Page 17, also more information on adjectives. Page 18, adjectives as well, and support question 7, which is about adjectives, practice for adjectives on the bottom of page 18. On page 19 is some information on adverbs. Okay, before we look at that though, we're going to look at adjectives a bit more. So what is an adjective? An adjective is a word that modifies a noun or a pronoun. So modifies means it changes it in some way. Generally, an adjective adds information to a noun or a pronoun. So an adjective is used to describe a noun or a pronoun and provide more information about it. So it's only an adjective if it's with a noun or a pronoun. So in the sentence, Leslie bought shoes at the store. Okay, that's a very basic sentence. We don't know anything about the shoes. We don't know anything about the store. But we can make that more interesting by adding an adjective to describe the shoes and to describe the store. So Leslie bought new shoes at the busy store. Now, we could say Leslie bought fancy shoes, or Leslie bought red shoes, or green shoes, or we could even use two words. Leslie bought new green shoes. Okay, so you can use more than one adjective to describe the noun. And the reason why we do adjectives is because it makes our writing more interesting, and it provides more information. So when you say something like this, people have a better idea, okay, rather than just Leslie bought shoes. They get more information. So here's some practice. So make the sentences more interesting by adding adjectives. My dog is named Buddy. Okay, so my dog. What about the dog? Give us more information about the dog. You can tell what kind of dog it is, my Labrador Retriever or my Dachshund or my mutt, whatever. Or you can say my new dog or my new dog, or my small dog if you have different dogs, or my big dog, or my black dog, or colors also can help us. So lots of adjectives that we can put in there. Okay, in the next sentence, the mirror was dirty. Okay, so what we're describing is the mirror. What does the mirror look like? So maybe the old mirror was dirty. Maybe the new mirror was dirty. Maybe the antique mirror was dirty. Maybe the gold framed mirror or the silver framed mirror or whatever. Gives us more information. Next sentence, Margot wore a hat to the contest. So here we've got three nouns. We've got Margot, hat, and contest. Well, we're not going to say much about Margaret. But we can give more description to the hat and the contest. Okay, what more information can we add? So for the hat, we could say Margot wore a fancy hat. Margot wore a feathered. Margot wore a red hat. Or we could say fancy red feathered hat. You use all of those words. What about the contest? What kind of contest was it? To the hat contest. To the dress contest. To the fancy hat contest. To the Easter hat contest or whatever. So just giving more information so that the sentence is more interesting and gives the reader more information. Okay, next one, my cake should have candles. So cake and candles are the nouns. So what can we say about, first of all, the cake? My birthday cake could be my anniversary cake. Okay, could be any kind of cake, but then it has candles. So it's probably birthday or anniversary. So we can put in the number of candles. So my birthday cake should have 9 candles. My birthday cake should have 50 candles, whatever. Or my birthday cake should have pretty candles or lots of candles. So there's a lot of things that we can put in there to give the reader more information. So that's what we do for adjectives. Okay, fix the following sentences so that the adjective modifies the noun. So sometimes when people are writing, they don't put the adjective in the right place in the sentence. So the sentence doesn't actually make sense, or it might give a different meaning. So first sentence, I saw a program really good on TV last night. So this sentence really doesn't make sense the way it's written. I saw a program really good. So you could see it really good, or was the program really good? So the modifiers really good should be in front of the program. I saw a really good program on TV last night. My sisters got young 2 children. Huh? Okay, that really is messed up. My sisters got young 2 children. So it should be how many children? My sisters got 2 young children. Now that sounds better. So both, in this case, both of the adjectives are before the noun children, but the way they're written, it doesn't sound right. So they're both children. The children are young, and there's 2 of them, but 2 young children sounds better. So there is a kind of a pattern to which adjective, if you're using more than one adjective, which adjective you should put first. So numbers will go first. So 2 young children, 2 blue sweaters, 2 or 5 tall chairs. Numbers will go before, for example, colors. Okay, and like I said, most of the time if you read the sentence out loud, you can tell that something is not right with it. Okay, next, they're building a factory big next to our home. So it's not a factory big. They're building a big factory next to our home. Poland can be a country very cold in the winter. So again, the country is very cold, so we're going to put that in front of the country. Poland can be a very cold country in the winter. And I'd like to see that new Michael Moore film, It Interesting Sounds. So it sounds interesting. Okay, so we have to make sure that we put our modifiers in front of the verbs that they're modifying. Okay, adjectives to avoid. So there are a lot of adjectives that are very basic. It doesn't mean you can't use them at all, but you should try to find more specific adjectives. So for example, happy. So instead of just saying someone is happy, try to be more specific. So are they cheerful? Are they contented, delighted, ecstatic, elated, glad, pleased, thrilled, joyful, or jubilant? Okay, what type of happy are they? How happy are they? Okay, so try to be more specific with the use of adjectives. And if you're not sure of a more specific adjective, you can use a dictionary or a thesaurus, or even look it up online to help you find a more interesting adjective. So other adjectives, instead of using sad, broken-hearted, dejected, depressed, despondent, glum, grief-stricken, those other ones, instead of using good, pleasant, moral, competent, reliable, excellent, positive, great, marvelous, satisfactory, reputable, instead of using beautiful, alluring, angelic, charming, classy, dazzling, delicate, elegant, exquisite, graceful, handsome, pretty. And some of these things, you know, so if it's for example, a sculpture, instead of saying it was a beautiful sculpture, you might say it was exquisite or it was graceful. Okay, if you're talking about a person, you might say handsome or pretty. But if you're talking about, like I said, a work of art or something like that, you might say exquisite. Or if you're talking about a dance, you might say that dance was graceful instead of just beautiful. Cold, be more specific. Chilly, cool, glacial, frosty, freezing, frigid, icy, polar, wintry, snowy. Hot, balmy, blistering, boiling, humid, summery, sweltering, warm. Tired, drained, drooping, drowsy, exhausted, prostrate, sleepy. Nice, acceptable, charming, cordial, decent, enjoyable, great, lovely, pleasant, polite, proper, satisfactory, tolerable, wonderful. Little, compact, diminutive, petite, short, small, slight, thin, tiny. Big, broad-shouldered. So what do you mean by when you say he was a big person? What does that mean? Was he well-muscled? Was he fat? What? Okay, so broad-shouldered, burly, consequential, considerable, gargantuan, gigantic, grown-up, hefty, huge, immense, massive, mammoth, oversized, overweight, significant. So think about what it is you're describing and think of a more specific adjective. So bad, adverse, difficult, dire, dreadful, harmful, grave, naughty, rebellious, severe, terrible, unhealthy, unpleasant, unwelcome. Tall, more specific, colossal, gangling, long-legged, skyscraping, towering. Short, brief. Okay, so if you're talking about a short poem or a short report, you might not, instead of saying short, you might say brief or concise. That means it was very specific instead of just short. Dwarfish, diminutive, dumpy, elfin, fleeting, petite, tiny, squat, stocky, if you're talking about people. Young, adolescent, babyish, boyish, childlike, girlish, immature, juvenile, teenaged. Old, aged, ancient, broken down, dilapidated, elderly, mature, threadbare, tattered. Okay, so those are some more specific adjectives that you can use. So when you're doing your writing, try to look at more specific adjectives. Okay, so adjectives are one type of modifier. There is another type of modifier called adverbs. So there's information on adverbs on page 19, 20, and support question number 8 is on 21, so practice using adverbs. So let's look at adverbs. So an adverb, again, is a word that modifies or describes, and this time, though, it describes or modifies a verb, an adjective, another adverb, or even a whole sentence. So adverbs we can find in more places, whereas adjectives are just with nouns and pronouns. Okay? Adverbs have a lot more uses. So they describe or add to a lot more parts of speech. So adverbs tell us how, when, where, how often, and how much. So for how, okay, so if, for example, somebody is talking, how are they talking? They're talking quietly. They're talking quickly. Okay. Sarah drove slowly. Well, Sarah drove. How did Sarah drive? Slowly, badly, carefully. She examined the box. How did she examine the box? She examined it carefully. She examined it quietly. She examined it slowly. Okay, so they tell us how something is done. Adverbs also tell us when something is done. So leave when, now, leave tomorrow, leave yesterday, leave later. Post the parcel when, do it today, do it tomorrow, do it later. Tony left. When did Tony leave? Yesterday, last week, last year. Okay, so adverbs tell us when. Adverbs also tell us where. So bring it where? Bring it here. Bring it inside. I used to live there. Where? I used to live here. I used to live nearby. The issues are happening. Where are they happening? The issues are happening overseas. The issues are happening nearby. The issues are happening here. Okay, so they tell us where. Adverbs also tell us how often. Always, often, rarely, sometimes. So you always complain. So how often do you complain? Always, or rarely, or sometimes. Check your work. Well, how often should you check your work? Often, sometimes, always. Toby lies. Well, how often does he lie? Sometimes, rarely, never. Adverbs also tell how much. Okay, so very, extremely, entirely, too, enormously. The rip is noticeable. Well, how noticeable is it? It's extremely noticeable. Don't work hard. Well, how much should I work? Or how much? Don't work too hard. It is inappropriate. Well, how inappropriate is it? It's entirely inappropriate. It's extremely inappropriate. Okay, so those adverbs tell us how, when, where, how often, and how much. All right, so some practice for adverbs. And I should also add in here that adverbs often, if you look back at this chart, often end with ly. So if you look at all these adverbs, we've got quietly, easily, carefully, slowly, badly, extremely, entirely, enormously. So adverbs often end in ly, not always, but often. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, so some practice. Use an appropriate adverb in each sentence. She feels scared. Well, how scared does she feel? She feels very scared, or she feels awfully scared, or terribly scared. Blank, I will visit that place someday. So maybe. Okay, eventually. You handled the situation. How did you handle the situation? You handled the situation well. You handled the situation carefully. He studied to score a good result in the exams. Well, how well did he study? He studied well. He studied carefully. He studied frequently. He did the job. How did he do the job? He did the job carefully. Or maybe he did the job quickly. Blank, I don't remember her address. Unfortunately. I don't remember her address. Blank, we know what it is like to lose a winning match. Again, we could say unfortunately. Okay, I have not seen you. I have not seen you today. I have not seen you for a long time. I have not seen you in weeks. He looked for you everywhere. She blank bought a gorgeous dress. She just bought a gorgeous dress. She recently bought a gorgeous dress. She was blank to be found. She was nowhere. to be found. He blank misses a chance like this. He never, or he rarely misses a chance like this, or he always misses a chance like this. So how often does he miss that chance? Okay. A little bit more adverb practice. Sarah skipped down the street to see her friend. How did she skip down the street? She skipped. She's going to see her friend. She probably skipped quickly down the street. The team ran blank towards the finish line to win the race. Well, they wanted to win the race, so how did they run? The team ran quickly again, or speedily, or something like that. Dan waited blank for his turn to hit the puck. So he's waiting in line. He waited patiently. Okay, so these words tell how somebody skipped, or how they ran, or how they waited. So it gives more information to the sentence. So instead of just saying Sarah skipped down the street to see her friend, give it a little bit more information. She skipped quickly. Okay, how did the team run? They ran quickly. How did Dan wait? Patiently or impatiently, however you want to do that. So adverbs, again, add information. They give the reader more information about what's going on. The turtle walked and couldn't keep up with the rabbit. So if he couldn't keep up with the rabbit, how did he walk? He probably walked slowly. Sharon chose the answers for her test so she would pass. So how did she choose her answers? Carefully, so that she would pass the test. Mike saw there were no cars coming, so he could cross the street. There was no cars coming, he could cross the street safely. The kids shouted as they played in gym class. Well, kids in gym class, how do they shout? Loudly. Jeremy blank ate his lunch. How do people eat their lunch usually? Slowly. Or if they're in a hurry, they might eat it quickly. Kaylee reads books about vampires. Okay, well, how often? Always. Olivia blank came to the rescue. Olivia finally. When did she come to the rescue? Finally. When will you come blank to visit us? When will you come here? Okay, where? When will you come here to visit us? When will you come home to visit us? Marcus blank walked to the barber shop. So he's going to get a haircut. Maybe he doesn't want a haircut, so he's walking slowly. Blank Martin goes to the museum. How often does he go to the museum? Every day. Please speak. How do you want me to speak? Please speak loudly, or quietly, or carefully. Okay, so those are all adverbs, and you can see most of them end in ly. Okay, so the next part of speech we're going to look at is prepositions. And there's some information on prepositions there for you on page 22, and at the bottom of 22, support question number 9, finding the prepositions in the sentences. On page 23, information on conjunctions, articles, different types of articles, and interjections. On page 24, support question 10, where you're going to practice all the different parts of speech. And then at the bottom of page 24 is, and page 25, is a review of the different parts of speech. Okay, so let's take a look now at the rest of the parts of speech. So interjections. Oh, the other parts of speech. Prepositions first. What are prepositions? Prepositions are words that are used to link one part of a sentence to another. So these words are used to link. Prepositions show the position, so the word position is right in prepositions, of the object or subject in a sentence. So the teacher asked the student to draw lines on the paper so that they could write in straight lines. So the showing the link between where the students were asked to draw the lines, or but the students were at draw the lines and where they were supposed to be drawn, so on the paper. So they could write how or where could they write in straight lines, so the position of where they were writing. The child hid his birthday presents under his bed. So under is the preposition. Okay, so it tells the position or where the birthday presents are. Mom asked me to go to the store near my school. Okay, so the position of the store, the link between the store and the school. Okay, the thieves jumped over the wall and escaped before we could reach home. So over, jumped, and the link between the jumped and the wall is over. Okay, so those are prepositions. Generally small words, things like in, on, under, near, beside, over, through, those types of words. Conjunctions are a part of speech that is used to connect two different parts of a sentence, phrase, and clause. So words like and, as, unless, but, because is another one. So Mira and Jasmine, so connecting those two different parts of the sentence, came to my birthday party. Jane did not go to work as she was sick. We could also use because in there as well. Unless you work hard, you cannot score good marks. And I had not finished my project, but I went out with my friends. So those are all conjunctions. Interjections are words that are used to convey strong emotions or feelings. So words, not a sentence, but just one word or maybe two words. So wow, what a wonderful work of art. So wow is an interjection. Alas, that is really sad. Yippee, we won the match. So words that show strong emotion. So basically it's something when you're shouting, you're putting a lot of feeling into it. Yes, we won the game, things like that. Like yes would be an interjection. And then we have articles. And an article is actually an adjective. Sorry. Like adjectives, articles modify nouns. There are only two articles. So easy to remember. The word the and the words a and an. So you use a before a word that begins with a consonant. You use an before a word that begins with a vowel. So the is used to refer to a specific or particular member of a group. For example, I just saw the most popular movie of the year. Okay, so the year as well is an article. A or an, so that one is specific. So the boss, the apple, the chair, the desk. So you're talking about a specific one. A or an is used to refer to a non-specific or non-particular member of the group. For example, I would like to go see a movie. Okay, not a specific movie. I just want to go see a movie. Or I ate an apple. Okay, doesn't no specific apple, just that apple. So instead of saying I would like to go see the movie, then you're speaking of a specific movie. Or I ate the apple. It's more specific. Okay, so practice with the parts of speech. So circle the correct part of speech for the bolded word. So I bought a beautiful dress at the mall. So what part of speech is beautiful? Is it a preposition, an adjective, or a noun? So what's it telling us? This word is telling about the dress. Okay, it was a beautiful dress. So it's describing word, so it's an adjective. What did she ask you to do? Okay, so she is replacing the person's name, so it's a pronoun. It's replacing the noun in the sentence. Number 3, I left my shoes under the kitchen table. So it's telling us the position of the shoes in relation to the table, so it's a preposition. Number 4, if we finish our work quickly, we can go to the movies. So how are we going to finish our work? Quickly. So quickly is an adverb. Describes the verb um, finish, how we're going to finish our work. Number 5, on Saturdays I work from 9 to 5. So what do I do on Saturdays? I work. So work is a verb. I want to go to a university in the United States. So a university is a thing. That's the name of a thing. So it's a noun. Number 7, I'm sure I've met your girlfriend before. Met, something that I've done. So met is a verb. Well, I don't think I'll be home before 6. Well, I don't think I'll be home before 6. Well is in this case, a preposition. Number 9, Andy knocked on the door, but nobody answered. But joins the two ideas before together. Knocked on the door, nobody answered. So it's a conjunction. And number 10, after lunch, let's go out for a coffee. So after lunch is a preposition. After is a preposition, sorry, not after lunch. Okay. So a little bit more practice. We'll skip that. So that brings us to key question 3, which is practice your key question for the parts of speech. So key question 3, part 1, identify the underlined words according to their part of speech. So what are they? A noun, so the ones that are underlined, and they are right here. And what is and? She closed her eyes and she inhaled. So she did two things, joining it together. It's a conjunction. Inhaled the scent of her coffee. What did she inhale? The scent. So it's a naming word. So it's a noun. And I should mention too, generally if you can put the word the in front of something and it makes sense, like the scent, the coffee, the eyes, then the word is a noun. So if you put word in front of the her, it makes no sense. The sound of children playing happily across the street made her smile. So they were playing, how were they playing? Happily. So happily is an adverb. It's a modifier. Made her smile. Made her smile. Smile is a verb in this case. Okay, so some words can be nouns in different sentences. So if you say, I saw, I love her smile, then the word smile in that case would be a noun. So some words can be different parts of speech depending on how you use them in a sentence. Okay, so read through all of those sentences and identify the part of speech for each one. Part 2, sometimes writers leave out words that will make a sentence correct, more interesting, or more specific. Add words to the following sentences and identify the part of speech you added. So here's an example. The boy blank across the field. What did he do? He ran across the field. What part of speech is ran? It is a verb. Okay. B, she is a or an actress. What kind of actress is she? She's a talented. Talented tells what kind of actress she is, so it's an adjective. Okay, my phone was blank the table. Where was my phone? Under the table. That's why I couldn't find it. So it tells the position of my phone in relation to the table, so it's a preposition. Okay, so same thing, fill in the blanks for the rest of them and then identify the part of speech. And then number 3, part 3, write 5 complete sentences. Every sentence must have a complete subject and a complete predicate. So it's got to have a noun and a verb. Try to include all of the parts of speech in your sentences to make your sentence more interesting. So here's an example of a sentence. Paul walked slowly and carefully through the dense bush. So I have a noun, a verb, an adverb, conjunction, another adverb, preposition, article, adjective, and a noun. So I've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the 8 parts of speech in my sentence. So try to use as many different parts of speech as you can in your sentences. Okay, so that is it for our class today, and that's it for the rest of the week. So our next class will be on Monday next week, and next week on Monday when we meet, we will be talking about Capitalization, I believe.